lawyers, Raad Murad and Muhammad Ali Hamoud, and they represent, or they're both from the law firm Murad Law. So how you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Good, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much.
No, it's a pleasure. Going to school, picking my career option. I remember hearing a lot of bad things about law school as a general. I know it was like oversaturated. They kept, or the word on the street was, you got lawyers that are busboys, you know? So do you feel like for anybody that's trying to, consider pursuing law as a practice, has that gotten better? Is it difficult, or is it basically what you make of it in your hustle?
I think there's actually a shortage of lawyers, really. When you look at it, there's not enough of us. There's still a lot of people who need help that have not got the help that they needed. And I think Ro can vouch for that.
Oh, yeah. And, I think a lot of people go to discourage people about applying to law school, applying to medical school, or really just kind of taking that extra step and doing what you have to do. They make it seem a lot harder than it actually is. I'm not saying it was easy at all, but I remember, being discouraged myself and talking to people and them saying the same thing, that what do you mean lawyers aren't even making money and this, that, and the other,
Mm-hmm. So would you recommend somebody pursuing law as a career option?
It depends, right? If you're doing it strictly for monetary reasons, I wouldn't encourage that, right? Like Rod and I, we wake up every day, we love what we do. Money obviously is a bonus. We'd love to get paid. We want to get paid. But if you're doing it strictly for the money, it's very stressful. It's a very difficult job. But I don't consider this a job. Like, for me to go court, talk on behalf of other people, man, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy it, really. So it's not really a job. I don't consider it a job. Like, the fact that I'm being compensated for this, for helping people, for being a voice for people, it's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, when I watch Saul Goodman, it's a hype, man.
Yeah. So
It looks fun.
I mean, we don't. Saul Goodman's a little bit extreme, but
Right.
I mean, yeah, we
I
get to exactly. We do a little bit of that,
But there is some, the sense of you don't really know what to expect. You're as good as you prep, right? Your prep makes you as good as you are.
100%.
And then your job is to find the nuance and argue it on behalf of your client.
100%.
Sometimes it's, you're just advocating for them. Sometimes, a lot of people ask in the criminal defense field is, well, how do you represent somebody if they're guilty? How do you represent somebody if they're... I mean, there are times where people are guilty and there's no way around it, but you come to a resolution that, is the best case scenario. And in doing that, you're advocating for the clients. You're getting them help. You're finding out the root cause of some of these issues. And, you're attorney and a counselor.
Right. So say somebody goes on a murder spree and right off the bat, people now give them the death penalty. I mean, I don't think Michigan has that, but in general. And you find out this person has mental health issues. Maybe they don't really deserve, right? Maybe they should be thrown for life into a mental institute. But if you just left it up without any representation, who advocates on that client that they shouldn't be put to death, right?
I mean, great point. Great point. I tell people all the time, you're defending people's rights. You're not defending their actions. People have rights.
Exactly.
There's no situation where somebody, doesn't deserve their constitutional right of representation, no matter how horrible it is. It's in the Constitution.
Again, this is definitely, far-fetched. The closest thing was pharmacy law that we learned about, and I remember pharmacy professors like to us, the law professor, he's like, I can't teach you law, but I can teach you the language of law. And as soon as we started learning that, it was like, all right, it's not for me. It's all jargons. It's all like, but once you learn it, then you can kind of dive in and really study it. But there's a lot of bad lawyers out there, man, especially court-appointed ones. From what I've seen, it's like they don't know. Like I'm talking about, there's bad physicians, bad pharmacists, but there's at least some set of a bar, I guess, that you kind of match. But I've seen a lot of lawyers. I don't know, maybe it's just lack of trying or lack of caring. But what does it take to be a good lawyer? Is it everything is taught in law school, or is it something you have to take initiative on?
I think become a good lawyer, one, you need to be prepared, right? Preparation's key. Also, you got to care, right? I mean, like I said, back to what I was circling back to what I was saying earlier. You gotta have a heart, man. You know what I mean? If you're doing this strictly for the money and consider them a transaction, you're not gonna succeed. You know what I'm saying? And back to circle back about the public appointed attorneys. I don't think they're bad attorneys. I think they're just overwhelmed, which was goes back again to what I was saying, that there's actually a shortage.
So they're not. They don't have time to prep.
They don't have
It's
time
just
to prep.
cases.
They're given
Okay.
30. They're given 30. They're given 30 clients a day, right? Now think about it. Can you interview and prep 30 clients? Now I know one attorney that does that really well. He works at 36. He's great at that. Rod Murad. But he does it really well. He takes time to go through every report, meet with every client, ask the relevant questions, and advocate on their behalf. So why does he do that? Because he cares. It's not just another name on a piece of paper for him.
100%.
I can tell you something that's going to surprise you. Especially in Wayne County, a lot of the appointed attorneys I know in Wayne County do a lot better work I've seen than a lot of paid attorneys. Trust me on this.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I also still do some appointed work too. In our practice, alhamdulillah, we've been doing
That's
very
pro
well.
bono, right?
Well, I mean, you still get compensated,
Okay.
sometimes through the court, sometimes through the state, depending on what your situation is. But I can tell you, really, I don't know too many attorneys better than some of the court-appointed attorneys I know. And I mean in motion practice, in argument, in trial, in just general litigation, bond, really. But there is a stigma. A lot of people have had a bad experience with a court-appointed attorney, and I've told people in my office all the time, well, I don't want to go with the appointed attorney. Sometimes it's like, wait, you might want to see who you get appointed, because a lot of these attorneys do really, really good work. But to his point, when when you do mostly appointed work and when your docket is, overwhelmed, it's hard to deliver that same attention that you would be delivering if you, are in our situation, to where, we have an office, we have people come in who set appointments, we're able to, thoroughly discuss and review every case. We don't have a judge waiting on us, or, in those situations, a lot of times, if you feel like you want that attention, you want somebody to answer your call every, other hour, you feel that you're going to be, sort of high maintenance, and this is really important to you to really be, involved in the process. Maybe the appointed attorney is not best for you, but you get the court-appointed attorney when you don't have the income, when you're within poverty guidelines to where you can't hire an attorney. But if you can hire an attorney, you should hire an attorney,
It's interesting. So, I mean, no different with any other field, right? If you have a lot on your plate, you can't do,
Sure.
you can't do you can put in the best work that you have. But I guess sticking to your firm, so what sets Murad Law apart from, say, your competitors?
So we handle immigration, family, criminal, and traffic. That's our specialty, right? What separates us from other law firms? What's the question?
Yeah, so what sets you apart?
What sets us apart is really our dedication, I think. Like Rod and I are really invested. We give 100% to every case, no matter if it's a $500 case or a $5,000 case. We spend the same amount of time, you know what I mean? And both of us, like I said, we care, you know what I'm saying? We have a vested interest. Our Google reviews speak for itself, like a majority of our clients, they have a good experience. We're very attentive, right? We call back at within a reasonable time. We answer all their questions. We make them feel very comfortable. Rod does a really good job of making the client feel at ease after the consultation. So that's one thing, that I learned from him. He does a real good job. Like, people come in the consultation anxious, nervous, crying. After spending an hour with Rod, man, they come out smiling, high-fiving. So that is one thing that really elevated my practice, was watching how comfortable Rod made his clients feel. And I want to compliment him on that real quick.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, good job, Murad.
And just to kind of go off that, I think clients can feel that we're genuine. I'm overly honest with clients, and a lot of times it's not what they want to hear. But you can tell when somebody's looking you in your eye and they're talking to you about your situation, they're asking you the right questions. I mean, we get involved. There's been so many times you're not only talking to your client, but your client's mother wants to be involved. Your client's children want to be involved, and your client wants them to be involved and wants you to talk to all of them and wants you to explain their situation. A lot of the times you're an attorney and a counselor.
Right.
You're really involved in helping people. And when
Right.
you get really involved in helping people, they see it. And I think that's kind of what sets us apart is we genuinely care. Like I put my heart into my work and I know he does too. We bring a positive energy, high energy. And I think that's really what makes the difference, you know?
Right. I know you didn't hear me, but as we were coming in, you were on a phone call. And, you know, I can't really tell the details, but I just hear the general conversation you're having. And I looked at you after you're done. Then you got another phone call, but I was like, I don't envy you. Because that's literally the word I was going to use is it seems like you're not just a lawyer, you also have to be almost somebody's therapist, right? And I don't know if that's the right word, but it's more of you're inheriting this person's problem. So you got to be able to connect to them on a human-to-human level. And you got to be able to have empathy. And otherwise, it's just, you know what I mean? Like you said, you'll push people away because this guy just wants the transaction. He wants to build, which comes back to fame, all the funny lawyer jokes that which I have a few I'm going to share with you guys.
Yeah.
If you guys have thick skin. But
Yeah,
it's but it's the truth. It's meaning that you have to be able to bond and connect with your clients, and that's something that kind of you know what I mean, made me realize like this is it's more than just knowing the law and then knowing how to approach the court system.
Yeah, it's who you are as a person, man. Like, are you the type of person who's gonna help the old lady cross the street?
Right.
Are you the type of person who's gonna, protect somebody in danger? Are you gonna step up? When you're doing defense work or family work, usually the people who are sitting in front of you are having their worst day or their worst week or their worst situation. And they're coming to you. They don't understand the system. They don't know what they're going to be dealing with. It's just like, hey, here's my situation. And it's on you to take their situation and do whatever it is that you have to do to try and get them the best possible result. And when they see you working at it, when they see that energy, it usually comes full circle, man.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, when you're coming to us for one reason. You have a problem, right? Whether it be a traffic ticket, whether it be a divorce, you were just incarcerated or, caught some criminal charges. So you're not coming to us under the best conditions, right? And you're probably at the lowest point. You know what I mean? Nobody's happy when they get a traffic ticket. I've never heard one person say, "Hey, I just got a traffic ticket. I'm so happy." Nobody does that. They're like,
Right.
"No, I'm upset. This is what happened. 1, 2, 3." There's a dispute, right? Obviously, that's 9 out of 10. We do get those other people that come and see us. They want to sit with us, say hi, obviously. But yeah, they have a problem. And our job is to solve that problem, whatever that problem may be.
So something you kind of brought up, and 100%, you both made valid points. I think every time I've made a phone call to a lawyer, right, it's not to invite him over to a barbecue, except
Right.
probably Mo,
Right.
because we go way back. But but you brought up the point of people don't understand the system, and that's something that hit me going through a grad program, whatever it is when you start to realize what you didn't know, right? You have this general idea of what you're trying to go practice or what school you're going to go, what med school or pharmacy or whatever it is, law. And then as soon as you start actually learning, you realize what a moron you were to that topic. You knew nothing, right? So that made me appreciate other people's professions because I said, you know what? For instance, I'll give you an example like tech or IT or internet, right?
Right.
Or how data is transferred and all this. You have a general understanding of it, but to really appreciate, if you studied it, you realize most people don't even know how their data is transferred or the real work behind it. So something for law, which affects everybody, right?
Right.
Which is why it's so important to have representation. You might think you know what you should say, or you might think you know what gets you in trouble, right? And that's why you have a right to remain silent. But if you guys can speak on behalf from your experience, or if you have any stories or anecdotes to share of how important it is to have representation, no matter how confident you are with your situation.
Yeah, I'll give you an example today. I was in court. I seen a client handle a traffic ticket, and he was talking to the officer, and he ended up accepting the plea. On the surface, it didn't sound like a bad plea, right? He had one charge dismissed, and that he pled responsible or guilty to this other charge. Usually like, hey, that's a good deal, right? I got one ticket kicked, and the other one I got. But he didn't realize the implications of doing that, right? The one that he got kicked had no points and didn't go on your driving record. The one that he accepted was with no proof of insurance actually goes on your driving record and can impact your credit and your insurance score, right? So he didn't know. I wanted to step in and help him, but at that point, it's unethical for me.
Right.
But for me, I realized he was committing a mistake, but I couldn't do nothing about it. Like I said, I can't solicit his business.
Right.
Right. So like it killed me inside that I couldn't do anything, but he should have retained counsel. Maybe he wasn't in a position to afford one. Maybe it's, whatever it was, he just didn't want to deal with lawyers, whatever the circumstances. But in that situation is probably going to cost them a little bit more down the road.
Right.
Through insurance, through car rates, through whatever it may be, by not obtaining an attorney. So that was really something that stuck out to me. That just happened today.
That's funny. We bring it up, but
Yeah.
that means this happen all the time. You have any cases you'd like to share or something or any tips?
I mean, just in general on that same point, a big problem with the lack of representation is, the lack of access to representation, I would say. Like a non-citizen accepting a plea. Something as simple as, shoplifting over a certain amount can get somebody who's been here for a really long time deported.
Okay.
And a lot of the times, if you have an attorney who's aware of the immigration consequences of, your criminal case, you may be in a better position to negotiate for something different if it's something that you in fact did,
Right.
as opposed to fighting in a trial. But a lot of the times, people aren't aware of immigration consequences. Sometimes attorneys aren't aware of immigration consequences.
And I think that's something people don't understand. I'm sure you guys get it, right? Everybody's calling you for legal advice.
Oh yeah.
And similar to any field, right? You call a cardiologist and ask him about a oncology question about this person has cancer. He might know the general idea of it more than the layman, but he's not going to be able to, I guess, dive into it as much as a specialist would. And it seems like in law, there's so many laws, right? So you're talking about immigration, you're talking about, what is it, civil infractions.
Civil, there's family, there's criminal, there's traffic, there's, like you said, civil, there's medical malpractice.
If it's so hard for lawyers to keep track of, what makes you think as a, civilian, you're going to be able to address your own issues?
You just can't.
It's impossible. Yeah.
It's something that, unfortunately, and that's why there are court-appointed attorneys, That's why there's legal aid, because, there's some things that are just too complex for a layperson. A layperson is just a non-lawyer to comprehend, or to, there's certain ways that there's motion practice, there's deadlines, there's, a lot of things that come into these, come into the practice of law that it's not designed for an ordinary person to just go and do it themselves. It really isn't. I don't think so, at least in my opinion.
So, changing subjects a little, but what would be the moment, if you can share it, I guess, that you realized that you're more than just a lawyer, or a moment that kind of, you did something for a client that really made you realize, like, wow, like, I there's a lot more that I can do in what I give into my job or my profession than just, signing some papers and moving things along?
So for me, what it really hit was when I was in law school, I was able to argue a motion on an expungement. Expungement is when you're trying to seal your criminal record from the public. So if you have a criminal charge and you don't want nobody else to see it, there's a process you follow, and you have to go through the court and do it. For me, I argued that motion. I was able to get this gentleman expungement sealed, right? And he was so happy after, because now he doesn't have this lingering over him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can hop on the computer and see it no more.
Right.
His children can't see it, so he felt so relieved. He comes out into the hallway after, and like me, I'm like, this is my first time in the courtroom. I was nervous. He came and hugged me and started crying, and I'm like, wow, like that really showed how important our job was. I'm saying, like, he was so. And we were doing this pro bono. We didn't charge him at the time. But that made me realize, like, okay, we're not just going in there and arguing and talking to the judge and stuff. Like, we're actually having a true impact on this person's life. And he was so appreciative. So that's, for me, it was my first experience. That really made me show, like, I love my job. You know what I'm saying? And that made me want to study hard for the bar and then become an attorney and do that all the time.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's so many different, experiences in different cases where, the result was great and the client, felt great. But there's one that stands out for me. It was, without getting into too much, somebody had a scholarship, and our resolution of this case was, we were able to keep their scholarship. They were a younger person, and it, secured their future when their future was at risk. And I'll never forget that case, the way it made me feel, the way after it resolved, how happy we were with the client, with their family, because it was, because it went through,
Right.
because the resolution worked out, and, he was able to continue and, get his scholarship. It was a great experience.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you both have the experience of realizing how much impact you actually have, and it's more than just a job. And I feel like that moment of separation defines, in any job or any career, defines whether somebody's going to put their heart into it, or at least be able to appreciate what it is they're truly doing. I'm completely off, different topic than you guys, but as a pharmacist, you work, you're excited, you get out, whatever it is with law school, you're so pumped. Then you just start doing the day-to-day, and you kind of lose motivation, and then you just start doing the motions, right? And I remember falling into that trap of just going in there, putting the hours. I mean, you're not doing a bad job, but you're psychologically, you're just you just feel like you're just,
Becomes repetitive.
yeah, you're what is the word?
Burnt out.
What is it?
Burnt out?
Yeah, you're burnt out, and it just becomes repetitive, and you're doing your job. And I remember one time, there was a patient. She had a cream filled out. I didn't even fill it, but I was giving it to her. And as I'm handing it over to her, I noticed, that's a big bill on this, one medication, and it wasn't even billed to her insurance. I forget the exact issue. And I'm handing it to her, and I could have just handed it to her. She was willing to pay. Go on with your day, and I'm going on with my job. I'm like, you know what? Give me a second. I held her up, tried to rebill it for her, try to see if I can get her a discount, bring that medication price down. And I was able to save her like $83.
Nice.
It's not, it's nothing crazy, but I did it. I'm like, go out of my way. And she was so appreciative, thank you so much. And it just at that moment hit me like, what you get out of something is what you put into it, right?
Yeah.
If you want to feel like you're doing something worth doing, then you need to, really do it with your heart fully involved.
Oh, yeah, man.
And if you want to just kind of do the motions of a job, of work, that's what's going to end up being. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get,
Someone on a fixed income, $83 is a lot.
100%.
So, I mean, don't take that as like, it's only.
Oh, no, it's a definitely.
But I'm
a
saying
lot
for
of money,
someone, Rad and I have done it a lot of time. People with fixed income, if you save them $5, they're super appreciative.
Right.
I mean,
No, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's an excellent story, by the way. But you went the extra mile. You didn't have to. You could have just did what you have to do and go on about your day. But something inside of you, your character, like you said,
No,
I want to help.
That's the difference.
That's the
right?
difference. Yeah.
I think again, sometimes you often fall into that trap unwillingly. No one's out there trying to be a jerk. No one's out there trying to be a bad lawyer, bad pharmacist, right? But you just get caught up with, you got your own life to live to. You got your own bills to pay, right? You got your own, and it's whatever it is you're doing. Even somebody, like I've seen it as a gas station clerk, right? You have a clerk who's, every customer that comes in, he's having a great conversation with them. He's enjoying his work, right? He ends up building relationships, whereas somebody else is just kind of head down, punching in numbers and just get them out the door, right? And again, you get what you put into it, and you take out what's there for you. So you do have a lot of responsibility, not responsibility, but you play a role into the outcome, not just for your clients or your patient, but for yourself as well.
Yeah, Rad and I are guilty of this. We're at court. We're at court a lot, and we get approached by people who are not represented and stuff like that, and they ask us for advice, or they ask us for a question or legal advice or whatever it may be, and Rad and I will go the extra mile to help them.
Wow.
What I mean? Like, we don't talk about it, we don't brag about it, because to us it's just the right thing to do, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
100%. You're giving your product away for free, right?
I mean, we're invested. You know what I'm saying?
100%,
If someone comes to me
100%.
and has a question, I'm gonna be like, book a consult, come back in an hour, or
Right.
call my office. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna
Truth
give you
is-
a couple minutes, And a lot of time they appreciate that I was able to give them 3 to 5 minutes of my time and just answer their questions. They were super appreciative.
You invested in getting the knowledge that you have. You know what I mean? You put the time and the money into it, and it's very valuable, right? So for you to go out of your way to help somebody out like that, I'm sure it means a lot to them. And
100%.
now we'll switch it up to, without, I guess, to the most that you guys can, to the information you can divulge. But what's the craziest thing you've seen practicing law?
Rod, do you want to go first on this one?
So Zoom Court, the introduction of Zoom Court was a show.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos.
For sure. I mean, courtrooms were getting hacked by hackers, and they were like putting up crazy images on Zoom. A lot of that. I mean, the first thing I thought of when you said craziest thing, it's so funny. It's attorneys who don't really advocate for their client. That is, to me, the craziest thing ever. I remember one time this was at 36th District. I was working with the defender's office at the time, and I had a situation where a paid attorney had a case up, and I believe that the paid attorney's client, was ordered to report for jail. And that attorney just said, "Okay, what day?" And I remember hearing that, and I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, that's not why we're in this here. That's not why we're doing this thing.
Right.
That's not the oath that we all took when we got sworn in and raised our right hand and told the judge that we were going to advocate for our clients. Though that type of stuff is, I think, the craziest thing that I see in court. It's not often. I mean, and I got to give a shout out to our community here. For the most part, I mean, actually, every attorney in our community does a great job. I think we have great relationships with all of them. Everybody I know, for the most part, in our community, is a great advocate, goes hard for their clients, does a great job, and I think we have a good thing going.
No, that's awesome. Did he?
Definitely the Zoom court, right? Because you see people with tank tops, people smoking cigars, people smoking blunts.
I'm not driving.
I'm driving. Well, yeah, that one that went nationwide driving. So I definitely Zoom court, which I think a lot of courts are actually transitioning back into in person and going away from the Zoom.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that's very convenient though. Oh,
the Zoom?
Yeah.
It is for us, exactly. It's very convenient, but there's a time and place for it, right? If it's trial, typically you would want that done in person, right? If it's something where you're just scheduling dates, I think Zoom would probably be the appropriate channel for that. So there's a time and place for Zoom. So I don't disagree with some courts going back to in person, but it's definitely a challenge that a lot of attorneys got used to Zoom court, and
Right.
I think and I think a lot of judges also got comfortable with Zoom. So I don't think we're gonna go back completely to 100% in person, but it's fun. You see funny things. Some people's profile picture might be inappropriate. They put that on Zoom.
Their names.
Yeah, their names. So definitely Zoom.
That's funny. So keeping it light humor. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
I don't even know if these are funny, but I found them funny.
We got this.
Before I get this, what's the best lawyer joke you've each heard, if you can remember it?
I don't know if I know any good lawyer jokes.
They say a good lawyer knows the law, a great lawyer knows the judge.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know if that's funny or not.
That reminds me of what is it called? The accountant joke or bookkeeper joke. They say if you're paying exactly what you're supposed to be paying in taxes, you need a new accountant.
Right.
So here, since you want some, I'll give you some to for your next meeting with your lawyers. But what do you have when you have 100 lawyers who are buried up to their necks in sand?
100 lawyers buried.
So what do you have in that situation when there's 100 lawyers buried up to their necks in sand?
I don't know.
That's
not enough sand. Oh man, these are a little bit rough.
all right. I see how we're
but
coming.
I looked up some and I realized people don't like lawyers, man.
Right.
It's tough.
What do we do?
Yeah, everybody hates a lawyer until they need one, right?
Right.
So here's another one. It was so cold in winter. How cold was it? I saw a lawyer with his hands in his own pocket. So the joke is that lawyers are always got their hands in other people's
Right.
pockets. They're always ambulance chasing. So yes, that's it's a lucrative field. You make money. But the reason is your values is determined by how much value you add into something or someone's life, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's the truth. So the reason lawyers charge what they charge because it takes a lot of work. It's not easy to be. It's not easy to become one. And but you guys get the bad end of the stick for it.
Yeah, I do definitely think there's a couple of bad attorneys, but like just what I was saying, I haven't seen none, but there's always a couple bad apples that ruin it for everybody, just unlike any other profession. But unfortunately, yeah, if you have a bad experience with attorney, you're just going to assume every other attorney is just like that attorney that I just dealt with. So,
I've heard some bad. I know someone who, had a legal claim, some type of law. I don't know. He ran into some type of like federal truck or USP or something where he had a good claim into his injury. He was really hurt. Potentially won a lot of money. So as he's going, he can't work. His lawyer advised him, hey, you know what I mean? While you're going to work, you probably would know more about this, but he set him up with some type of loan pump, like to kind of make up for his lack of income while he's waiting. Sounded like a good amount of money, signed up for it while his lawyer's arguing his case for him. Ended up winning a lot of money, but by the time, whatever it was, a year or two that it took to litigate, or he ends up getting a bill for all the interest that was accrued for all the money that he was getting as a loan, and he ended up basically walking away with nothing. So his lawyer walked away with money, the loan company walked away with money, and he just kind of left, holding the ticket. But yes, he did make some money while waiting, but again, you'd assume the lawyer that's advocating on your behalf would, you know what I mean? Would kind of
yeah,
at least let you know, hey, be careful.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure he did advise him of everything. Hopefully he did. In that situation, I look at it as he was working. He wasn't working for 2 years and was compensated.
So you could say that's basically, you're right. Yeah, that's
So
something
I mean, at the same time, he was being compensated. He wasn't working. So
but a 50% interest fee is
yeah, I mean, he
is
could have
insane,
probably
right?
shopped around and could probably found a better deal. But I
Right.
mean, I don't know enough about that case. But on the surface, I think it's not terrible.
Right.
Like I said, he was sitting home for 2 years. He was able to pay all his bills,
Right.
not lose his home, not lose his car.
That's true as well.
So there's some pros to obtaining that loan. Could
I
have
just
got a
think
better rate.
maybe
Yeah.
the person telling me the story, everybody's expectation is you're gonna be bankrupt.
And there's two. Yeah,
You're
there's two
walking away
sides of
with
every
money,
story.
There
Yeah, there's always
is,
two
you're right.
sides of every story.
And I
so.
did only hear one side of it, but it's crazy. That's another thing. This whole ambulance chasing or injury law, it's everywhere. There's a
Yeah.
new poster board. I only speak about this again. I'm outside of law. I just see
Right.
it as a
No,
a common person.
so we don't really do PI. I mean, we have
Mm.
we have PI attorneys that we work with, that will connect clients with, if they, people that we trust. If, they end up
Right.
in that situation.
And it's needed. It is, but it seems like it's almost a hunt for it. Or is it the most lucrative part of being a lawyer? Is that the most lucrative field? Or
I think it is.
I
In
think the
Michigan,
payout
think
is
it
high. Yeah, I mean, if you have a good policy and but they're also not. They're also time consuming, right? Like the friend you just referenced, 2 years.
you're right.
So you spread that money over 2 years, but yeah, that's why a lot of people go into it because it is profitable.
I don't know. I don't think I could ever do it.
Same.
I'm a passion guy. I'm a courtroom guy. I'm a direct, like hands-on kind. I don't want to argue with insurance companies. I want to, cross-examine the police officers or the witnesses. That's what I want to do.
Right.
Not necessarily, hey, give me 50,000 instead of 40,000. That's just not my style. It's never been.
Right. No, 100%. It's easier to do something with your heart, being involved, than to do something without passion. That's something that when I had my brother and a few other pharmacists on, I was advocating hard for people to don't just jump into pharmacy, because that's something in our, you know what I mean? Lawyer, doctor, pharmacist, right? Engineer. Other
Yeah.
than that, I don't think a lot of people even understand what it means to do something that you're passionate about, you know? And I was advocating hard. Make sure you do it, or, you know, what can you be in the legal field? What is that, paralegal or
Besides what, as far as
to experience law before
yeah,
you
it's
become a lawyer?
paralegal, law clerk, law legal assistant. So, there's
So I'm a
different-
hard advocate of do something there, even go volunteer.
Intern, yeah.
Right, intern, volunteer, do something to just see what it's like, to see if it's something that you're gonna enjoy. To be, are you really gonna be passionate about this before you invest all that time in school? And
I did 7 unpaid internships before I.
so you knew.
Yeah,
this
before
is
I
it.
started law school, 7
Yeah,
unpaid
it's
internships.
insane. Yeah, and that's something that, you know, our community doesn't really understand, because you're just pushed so hard to, you know, go to school, and you kind of almost pressure to pick something, as opposed to go experience these things. You know what I mean? And you might like something that you never really thought you would. I never really thought I'd, you know, set up a podcast studio or
Yeah.
be
Oh,
involved
that's
in it. But it's just you just kind of find your way, you know, sometimes a little too late. But speaking of technology, where do you guys,
You're also killing it as an entrepreneur, man.
no, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
man.
man.
Good for you, really.
It's not easy. It's stressful.
It's not easy.
Everything's
Everybody thinks
stressful.
they can be an entrepreneur and just do something. No, man. Like I've seen you from where you started to where you are now, and
No, I
you're
appreciate
killing
you,
it
Dave.
as an
Thank you,
entrepreneur, man.
Thank you.
Good for you, man.
And it's just, again, it just comes back to the idea of passion, what it is that you. My dad is an entrepreneur,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
and he threw us into the fire, bro, at a young age. We were working night shift, going to high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
Everything I thought on my body was stay the hell away from being from being an entrepreneur, because I knew nothing else. And then as soon as you venture off and you realize, you know what I mean, he's setting you up to do something
Right.
that benefits yourself, and you kind of have to learn the hard way sometimes, right? I'm the type of person sometimes I have to burn to learn, and unfortunately, but so you know, I'm a hard advocate for trying to teach people the benefits, or learn from other people's mistakes rather than learn from your own. But it comes back to why I brought up the technology aspect of it is, you've seen what's going on with AI, right? It's crazy. The rate that it's improving and getting better, next levels are being unlocked, is, I don't think we will ever anticipate where it's going to go, you know? So do you guys see AI being a threat to law in any time? Because I know they were saying, well, you can never train an AI to be a doctor, right? And now they're saying, well, 98% of nurses' advice that you can call, I don't know what it is, some type of firm that you call, and it's a nursing agency, they give you advice over the phone. It predicted what they were going to say within 99% accuracy. Do you ever think that you guys would ever, your job or your career would ever be a threat?
Definitely not.
Really?
No, man. Because the way we practice law, you can't just put an AI and replace us, right? AI cannot meet and talk with clients, right? Answer their questions. They can give them a general answer, but a specific answer to their general concern, no. AI can't sit and review evidence, discovery, watch videos, watch the body cam, and then come back and tell you what the result is. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll be able to process video evidence one day and say, you know, there was, you know, some kind of wrongdoing or whatever. But I just don't see how I don't see AI going to court and litigating and arguing, because a lot of times we go into court with this position, this argument, and then we got to think on our feet. We got to be able to adapt. We got to be able to, like, oh, this is going south, or this is going better than we predicted. So a lot of times you have to adapt.
That's
And maybe
really good point.
AI is not ready for it now, or maybe in the next 10 years, but maybe in 20 years, 30 years, they might be able to adapt to that specific area. But I don't see it as a threat.
That's a good point. Something I never really thought about is your job also, especially if you're on trial, right? You have jurors. You have to appeal to the jurors and understand how to get
We're
to them.
litigators.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I can't see an AI kind of just coming off.
Yeah,
unless
they
you're gonna start having AI jurors, which is a whole different,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
topic, man. They're taking over everything. But
You ever watch iRobot?
I did.
Hopefully that
Oh,
doesn't
man.
happen, right?
I'm a big fan of what's the word that I'm looking for? Dystopian movies and books. So yeah, you're right. So I mean, iRobot. You look at that, and it's again, can we see ourselves getting there? Are you gonna be one day maybe even defending an AI, man?
You never know.
Do you see any way that AI can actually help with your job? You know, kind of making maybe simplify things for you. so that you can focus on more important things for your clients.
Yeah, the basic black and white stuff, right? Like the stuff that doesn't require, a lot of work. For example, form filing, some of the stuff that's, just procedural, just filing a case, right?
Right.
That stuff becomes repetitive at one point. So some of that transactional stuff, AI can probably help. But once you get into the nitty gritty of the case, I don't think AI can actually help at that point.
Right.
But maybe just a basic intake, they can, if you have an intake questions, they can sit and talk with the client for 30 minutes and, give the questions that we want to ask, the AI can ask.
Right.
But then they might have some follow-up questions. The AI might get confused at that point, how to respond.
No, I mean, it's more of, no, you bring up 100%, right? It's hard to see. Basically, the reality is the nuances, right? That's where you need your expertise to kind of siphon the good and the bad. But you do see technology being implemented in general, all fields. But when you look at the court system, when is the last time technology used, the typewriter? You know what I mean? Going from are they still using the typewriter or they got a computer now?
No, they got a computer now.
Yeah, you're talking about the
What's the word for that person?
court reporter.
Yeah, the court reporter.
reporter.
Yeah, sometimes you have them. They talk into the thing.
So eventually, do you see their job, for instance, phasing out with something that can pick up, speech to write, or what is it, speech to text, right?
Well, how do you hold AI accountable? That's the hard part, right? Is let's say there's a procedural defect, or let's say that there's a mistake made. I know we think AI can't make mistakes, but
Right.
what if that happens? How do we hold that entity accountable? We can't. How
That's
do
very
we
true.
assign that
And
entity
I
a
think
responsibility?
that's where I see something in the medical field too. It's like, what if there's an
Right.
error in
Then
the
what?
medical diagnosis? Who do you hold accountable?
Right. Does the AI have a license that did the AI study X amount of years and get that? I mean, I ask myself these questions and I'm sure I can anticipate the counter argument, and there's a good one that can be made.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I
who
have this
knows?
debate with an engineer friend all the time, and he says, "No, man." He's like, "We don't need you guys. AI is supreme. It's gonna get there." And reality is, what if AI becomes perfect? What if I can get into a machine, it scans me and tells me everything that's wrong with me medically? I don't need a doctor anymore, right? But you're right in terms of people are gonna want accountability.
Right. I mean, what we're still so early, man.
It is.
We're still so early,
But the growth is exponential, man. It's crazy. That's the scary part. So I don't look at where we're at. I just look at how long it took for the car to advance to what it is now.
right.
The Tesla. How long it took for phones, 20 years to get to where they got. And then you look at AI, it's been 2 years. And I remember ChatGPT 3 when it came out, and it's like where they're at now, it's a whole different ballgame. It's not even 2 years. So it's exponential, the increase in rate. So I don't know if I ever see it getting to the point. But like you said, I think people trust. And you want somebody you can trust. And that's the empathy part of you, and what you guys do. Is people don't just want an answer. They want somebody who can make them feel
Right.
hopeful,
Right.
right? Or not just hopeful, but feel better in their situation.
They want a voice.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And how many times have you said, "Hey Siri, call mom," and it calls, it calls your ex or something.
Right.
So
I think
There you go, she heard it.
goes
She's
Siri.
calling.
See, it's calling. Look, it's calling Muhammad.
You see,
See?
if it was a human, it would know that you weren't trying to.
So right there, like, how do we hold that accountable?
No, no,
It called-
100%.
It called my friend Muhammad. I was
There you
said,
go.
call mom.
Right? And
So-
completely out of context
It calls-
situation.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, 100%.
That was funny. Like, unintentional, but it proved the point.
It proved my point.
That's funny.
What's the future of practicing law look like to you guys? What's the future of Murad law? You know what I mean? What do you guys hope to see? And I guess, what's there to come? What's next?
Want to grow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on our way. We want to keep growing, but
How big is the team now?
we have four people, 2 attorneys, 2 staff.
Small but mighty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We want to grow. I think it's we do a good job of not just taking every case. If there's been so many times if we don't think we can help somebody, we're not going to milk them and try to get some money out of them to eventually just not help them. We're just going to tell them that we can't help them.
Right.
I think I see a future of more growth. Alhamdulillah, we're getting busier, and
That's good.
I think we'll be adding on to our team, inshallah.
That's
What do you
great
think
news.
the future is?
I think the future is same thing. Growth, continuing to give the highest level of customer service, right? We want to continue. So the tricky part gets is how do you grow without a drop off, right?
This is like what I was gonna say.
That's what Rod and I always struggle. We want to continue to give every client the same representation while growing, right? So that's where it gets a little bit tricky because I don't want to grow and then sacrifice my work or my reputation, so forth. So for us, it's growing at the right pace, right?
Right.
So I think that's where we're definitely trajecting in that way, in that manner. You know what I'm saying?
Quality over quantity.
100%, 100%.
And
Right.
you probably can grow twice, 3 times as fast as you're growing now, but you probably won't have a firm in 5 years, right? It'll be good for the short term, but after a certain while,
It'll be
Right.
sloppy. It'll be sloppy.
100%, 100%.
It'll be drop offs, clients not getting calls back, whatever. It'll get sloppy, and that's not the way I am. That's not the way Rod is. But yeah, there's been instances where firms grew, but their core mission went away, right?
Right.
So that's the struggle, and I think Rod and I were doing it the right way, at our pace and the way we want to do it. But yeah, I mean that's the challenge. You know that as a business owner, how do you
100%.
grow without sacrificing ingredients, quality, freshness, whatever it may be?
You want to be ambitious,
Exactly.
but it's a tightrope. You know what I mean? You have
Yeah.
to grow at the right pace.
I seen a lot of restaurants that franchised. What happened? The quality went down.
It's tough. It is really. You're right, and especially with law, quality going down. It's not like a bad burger. You brush it off.
Yeah, no, it's not an
Yeah.
option. You can't have quality go
Right, you
down
just-
because someone gets hurt. You
Exactly. People's lives are at stake.
Or you lose your license.
Right.
So even worse. So I mean,
So none of you guys have, neither of you guys have an ambition to either become a senator. I know they always say bad lawyers become senators, but yeah, or judges. But or become a judge, political career. No,
I'm a defender, man. I don't have it in me.
nice.
I'm not interested on ever putting my name on a ballot. I think I really think that if you're really out here to help people, I think you could do, at least for me, I could do a lot more without being on a ballot. I think I can accomplish what I want to accomplish without doing that, and I'm serving the people best where I'm at now.
Right.
I think if I
I
try
think
to do that, you start cloud chasing, man. That's not what we're
That's-
about. We're about, we're in the trenches,
that's the problem I think with lawyers. You know what I mean? Is the good ones want to stay and defend the people on the ground, do the groundwork, right? And then the bad ones end up being, or leaning more towards a political route, and that's why you end up having the politicians that you have that people don't trust. You know what I mean? I wish it was the other way around, but sometimes the nature of the beast is what it is.
Yeah. I
And-
mean, whenever I hear politics, man, and we didn't talk about this before the show, so I hope it's okay to say that. I just think of Gaza and how just disappointed I am in everything and everyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have some awesome community leaders who really stepped up and brought it to the
100%,
forefront.
100%.
But
It's, some things are just black and white, but then
it's just black and white.
the lawyers bring in the nuances when they shouldn't be, brought in. Or when I say lawyers, the politicians,
I know what
right?
you mean.
They bring in the nuances where there really isn't a nuance. And
I mean, man, it's just we're watching pure evil every day. And like, oh my God, it's unfolding in front of our eyes. And what is anybody doing? I mean, people that have just leached off our community for years and years and years. Not a word, not a peep.
It's-
if you're an advocate, you're an advocate.
100%.
If you care, you care. So just because they're, these aren't people that I'm licensed to represent. These are people that, we care about.
100%.
And it's horrible, man. So I'm sorry you said politics, and that's just I immediately went there.
And that's the reality of it. That's my point. Is politics is a dirty game. It is a very dirty game, and it's like even if there was a politician standing in front of me, I'd say the same thing. It's a dirty game, and I'm sure a lot of people go into politics with good intentions, right? But then,
It's a clout chase, man.
yeah,
I mean-
you said it. It's a game, man. I don't have that in me to play that game. You know what I mean? Like I want to do what I want to do. I want to help who I want to help, and I don't want to get back and forth with the games and stuff like that. So
it's what it is. So no, we'll never see Judge Muhammad Ali Hamoud on the ballot, huh?
not
I
the
don't
next
know.
future.
You don't think so?
No, no, I don't.
I think he'd make a good
I
judge,
think he'd
man.
make an excellent
I
judge,
agree
to be
100%,
fair.
man.
He's such a fair person. And by the way, he's such a positive person, and I think a big part of why we work so well together is just because of our energy, especially him. He is really like, I couldn't have asked for a better person to work with, really.
100%.
And he brings that to the table every single day. And he's really, really an asset. I think he would be an excellent judge, really.
I agree.
My man.
Really.
I agree, man.
My man. Now he's giving
we'll
me
get
some
you-
shout
well,
out. I got to give him some
well,
shout out.
Go ahead. Flex on him, man.
So when he told me to come first, when I first met him, I literally knew within like the first 5 minutes that I'm gonna work with this guy. That's it. Like I knew it. The chemistry was there, the language was the same, and seriously, like I'm not just saying this because we work together. He's like a brother that I never met. You know what I'm saying? You know
Same,
when you
for sure.
instantly click with somebody.
100%.
And honestly, that's how I felt. And like I've learned so much from him, and I've told him that before. Like, not only did he help me become a better attorney, but also a better person. Like the way I see him doing so many pro bono cases, and we fight about this sometimes. We'll be like, "Bro, man, you gotta relax, man. We gotta, you know." But he always like takes these pro bono cases and it's not because business wise or anything. It's just because of time wise, right?
100%.
At the end of the day, like you said earlier, we got to pay bills, right? We got to X amount. It's going out. We have to make X amount, right? And honestly, like him and I are bad at that because I tell him, and then he tells me the same thing. He's like, "Hey, you can't be doing these pro bono cases. You gotta." I'm like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, but honestly, like if it was up to us, where we make good money and just do pro bono all the time, we would do it all the time. But like I said, he's taught me more just about the art of law. Like I said, he just taught me to become a better person. And I thought I was a good person when I met him, but
Yeah.
he just
You are a good
elevated it,
person,
man.
Thank you.
No, I mean, honestly, like, I think that shows, you know, that you guys are going to have a great firm, inshallah. And, you know, you guys are headed definitely down the right direction. And once you guys on the top of every billboard, we'll twist his arm to become a judge. We'll see, man.
Yeah, we gotta twist his arm.
Everybody's getting up if I'm a judge.
Right. That's the thing.
No.
man.
You said you didn't run that red light? Ticket dismissed.
I want you to be like that guy. You ever see that Bronx lawyer or that Bronx judge? The guy that he's more of a sweet.
Frank.
I'm not sure his name.
The Frank guy, yeah. That guy, I think
Where
he had
hears
cancer now.
people
But
out, man. Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
and
man.
that's why he stopped. But yeah, that guy, I mean, God bless his heart. He has a great heart. And like, you just don't know what goes on the person's day, right? Like when a person gets a ticket, it wasn't just they just decided to speed. They might have had a medical emergency.
Right.
They might like, and a lot of people don't ask these questions. Like, yeah, there's some people who just speed just to be, you know, just break the law. But like the way Frank does it, Judge Frank, and he asks all these questions, and this person might have been a veteran. This person, you know, like we should cut him some slack. So if like a veteran came into my courtroom, like you served in our country, what, 20 years?
And it's
Get
just
that ticket
something
out of here.
That should be a slap
Yeah,
on
get
the
that
wrist.
ticket out of here. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't think I'll be a good judge.
right. Sorry.
City won't make no money.
So I'll give you a funny story real quick. It's so a lawyer owned some really nice high-end cigars. I forget how many or whatever. I think he had like 12 cigars or whatever. True story. I'm getting the details wrong, definitely on the numbers. But, you know, he owned a few cigars, and he insured them because they were worth something.
Cigars.
Yeah, he insured his cigars. And
That's a thing.
some time goes by.
If you smoke them, you get paid.
So some time goes by, he files a claim that in 12 different fire or whatever, I don't know what the term is, the legal term, 12 different fires, his individual cigars were lost. You know, 12 individual fires, right? So he smoked them. And he ends up going to court, and based off of the paperwork and the way things were insured, he actually won.
That's a real thing?
100%, man. And
That's hilarious.
he won, but then...
What insurance company would insure a cigar?
And he won, right?
So were they
The
accidentally get on
reimbursement,
fire?
I forget what it was, like $15,000 or something like that for the individual fires. But then right after that, the insurance company came after him for arson, and actually, you know, beat him.
Oh, yeah.
So you tell me if that's true or not. Does that sound like it's viable? So that's, you know,
That's funny. I'm not a civil guy.
he ended up losing in the end, you know, but it's
that's
just funny. So that
hilarious.
shows that.
I mean, that reminds me
Shout
of
out-
that Ramadan joke where that guy fell into an Oreo, right? Did he break his fast?
You know,
Or is it-
he swallowed on accident.
Yeah,
right?
he fell down and an Oreo fell in his mouth. Is that breaking your fast?
I-
So
You know,
That's what
that's
reminds
a
me of.
very, very You know what? I'm gonna actually look it up because lawyers claim.
That's so funny. I mean, he thought he had the last laugh, but not really, huh?
I butchered the story too, but
I think the way you told it was better. man.
he insured his cigars against fire, then tried to collect a fire damage fee after smoking them.
I mean, he's not lying. They were on fire.
Yeah,
That's
right. Technically,
hilarious.
can you get away with that?
I mean, look,
Could you imagine being a judge and listening to
Yeah,
that and
really.
keeping a straight face?
litigating over 15,000. But a good
So
lawyer, a
apparently
good lawyer will.
it's a legend, right?
Oh, it's a legend. It's not.
Yeah, began in and after life, and it took its own life. Cigars in early 1996, and it continued to circulate as a true story in news groups and emails and social media. So it did blow up. So
That's
you know,
awesome.
so it was pushed as a news story. But I don't know if it's true or not. It can be confirmed. But you know, then they came after him for arson. It's like, yeah, you win, but we win too.
That makes it better for sure. I told you I liked your version. Man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, anything else you guys want to share about the practice of law? Any advice you guys want to give?
Yeah. Back to what we, circle back to where we started. Don't just do it just for the money or the status. I'm same reason. I know you went to pharmacy school. We did it because our parents pushed us in that direction. But just don't do it. There's a lot of opportunity for you to see if you like the job or the position before actually going to school, right? So
If you're in it for the money, there's other ways to make more money.
yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? If instead of investing all that time and money into school, find something else, man. You probably even enjoy and make a hustle that way. But if you're in it to really give back and
Or reach out. Like me, when I was in law school, I was blessed with the opportunity to learn through other attorneys to see if I would like it. Because I could have stopped halfway and been like, this is not really for me. But a lot of attorneys will take you under their wing and show you. And Rod and I do this all the time. If someone calls and wants, some guidance, wants us to, wants to shadow us, go to court with us, we'll take you. Come on,
That's awesome.
Yeah, you want to see how a typical day of a lawyer is? Call our office and schedule a time, and we'll take you with us. We'll show you, day to day.
It's actually
If
great
this-
advice.
Yeah, if it's something that you like, great. How can we help you? I don't think it's not just Rod and I. A lot of attorneys do this. If you call them, there'll be times where I call other attorneys, hey, I have a civil matter. They'll help me instantly.
Right.
So I think like 99% of attorneys, they're willing to help and let you shadow them and offer guidance and all that stuff. So
That's awesome,
take
man.
advantage of that, man.
Shadowing is free, simple, it's easy.
And you can
It's a
put it
great
on your
way.
resume.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it benefits you at the end of the day.
And you can ask for a letter of rec,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that-
yeah, you're right. You're right. If
you
you,
know what I
make a good
mean?
impression, boom.
Think about it.
There you
And
go.
then,
You need it.
hey, can you help me review my resume before submitting this for law school?
And I'm
Boom.
pretty sure that the world of law is a small world, and you got to have connections, and you got to have good relationship skills, and that's your way of practicing, building that relationship and networking.
It's people skills, man. I mean, and back to the community, we have. So, I'm a part of an organization, the National Arab American Bar Association. We're, I think over 150 members by now, well over actually.
Right.
And it's pretty much all of the attorneys in our community and some, and
That's
way more. Pretty much if you don't have to be out of it to join, but majority of the members are, and it's a great way for like we're in a group text of judges, prosecutors, lawyers, law students. It's the entire community.
And do they have a student chapter?
So there are different like student organizations, but you become a member of. We have student members.
Okay, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's
So that's another way to kind of break in and build that networking early on.
It's huge.
Before
It's
you get in there.
huge.
See, I think the mistake people make is they start trying to network after,
Yeah.
and now you're starting late in the game. So how important is networking to being a good lawyer?
It's huge, but you also got to be genuine, right? When you network, you got to be genuine, right? I can tell who's just networking just to network and who like really wants to hang out and who wants.
It's my card.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you got to come off as genuine, and a lot of them are, but yeah, just networking is very important.
It's a skill you have to learn, but also learn how to do it, by being yourself as opposed to trying to be some.
Yeah,
Well,
just
well
goes a long
said.
way.
Well said. Yeah.
Just don't change. Just be you. And like, Actually, I don't want to say don't change, because like if you're not the person who holds the door open for people, maybe do that a little more.
Right.
If you're not the person who, strikes up the conversation with the random sales attendant, checking you out where
Right.
you're leaving, try it.
Fake it till you make it, man. It's not really. See, people say fake it till you make it for these types of things, but a better word is practice till it becomes habit. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
practice something, and then eventually it'll just become second nature to you.
Exactly. I think when you start talking to somebody, you might break a barrier. You
Right.
may, when I walked in this room, right? You and I hadn't really spoken before. Maybe you thought I would come off a certain way, or maybe you thought I, could be intimidating or something along those lines, or vice versa. But as soon as we hear each other speak,
Right.
those barriers are broken.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why it's so important, in my opinion at least, to talk to as many people as you can, to get to know as many people as you can.
And you end up learning how to navigate through different types of people. Everybody has,
Oh yeah.
you start to see that people have different personalities, but a lot of people are similar in certain ways. You know what I mean?
Like you learned it at the gas station.
Oh yeah.
Think about
Man, I
it.
used to-
You talk to
100%.
so
You learn the
many
hard way,
different
man.
people in so many different situations.
100%.
People that are stopping in to just get gas. People that are
that's-
stopping to get smokes.
Something I took for granted too. I thought I hated it, but you do really
Yeah, I did
realize.
that for.
You have no idea what that skill did for you if you wanted to go to law
You see
school.
right off the bat, you see somebody walk in, you could already tell. I'm not even gonna tell this guy have a nice day, because he just wants to go in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm striking a conversation about this guy's grandkids, just based how they approach you. But
Oh yeah. You
Yeah,
read
you-
body
you-
language. You read everything.
Exactly. You start to learn how to read people, and like you said, who's having a good day, who's not. You can tell who's lying, who's not. That becomes a skill that you need, especially as attorneys. You want to know who's lying, who's not.
100%.
Obviously, if we talk to 100 people versus 2 people a day, we're obviously learning a lot more interacting with 100 people. You know what I'm saying? So
No, 100%. I feel like there's a lot of things people could learn and kind of use for any expertise in profession. But a really serious question that I want to ask you guys, if you don't mind answering, is did the glove fit or no?
with regards to
You didn't get it? Did the glove fit? If the glove don't fit, right? you must
oh,
have
quit. Okay.
No, this has been amazing. I appreciate you guys coming out.
Appreciate you having us, man.
You guys definitely seem like you guys are headed towards the right direction, and inshallah, more success forward. And I hope we have more lawyers and just professionals in general that follow your footsteps and take things more genuinely. So we end up having better access to lawyers and physicians and whatever it is in that sense. And appreciate you guys coming on, and you'll be signing NDAs when you walk out. So this
No,
episode airs.
we don't sign nothing. I got to review it.
And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you,
brother.
man. I appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right.